Bucky good in the ball. Santel all the way to the basket. Foul. Lays it in for two.
Good morning and Merry Christmas, basketball fans. Welcome to the Upstate Hoops Podcast on FingerLakes1.com. I'm Jim Sinacropi here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York, live on Sunday, December 23rd, 2017. Now, the Upstate Hoops Podcast and all of our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank. They have locations in Auburn, Farmington, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo. They're online at mygenbank.com. And by Dr. Rod Littlejohn at Littlejohn Orthodontics, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. Visit littlejohnortho.com. And by Bill Cram Chevrolet, where you'll save plenty on 5 and 20 between Seneca Falls and Waterloo. Browse their full inventory of new and used vehicles at billcramchevrolet.com. Mention you saw them on FingerLakes1.com and get a $250 credit towards any new or used vehicle. So, great show this week, just 2 days before Christmas. Full week of basketball kind of winding down last night with students ready to go on break. And then next week there'll be some holiday tournament action. But got a really good show today, and I have a couple of Midlakes Screaming Eagles girls varsity basketball players here in studio with me today. That's Cara Walker to my right and Alaina Forbes to my left. Girls, thanks for coming in.
Of course.
How you a little nervous?
Sure.
Not really a great day to drive in from Phelps, a little rainy and stuff, but are you guys excited for Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's excited for. That's something we can all get on the same page for, is Christmas. So I'm going to go through the weekly results here for boys and girls, and then we're going to talk to you guys a little more. The new power rankings are going to be released. I don't know. Do you guys know who's number one for the girls in our power rankings?
Us, I think.
Yeah, you guys have been number one since, I think, preseason. I think you started number one. You haven't lost yet. 8-0 now, I think?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, pretty good start. Had a nice win over Minders. In Minders, that was a big one, in terms of trying to win the league. And they're defending sectional Class B champs. So that was certainly a nice win. And, we'll talk about a lot of stuff going forward. But that Minders game, Alaina, you were in foul trouble early, right? You didn't get to play a lot early and then came back late, and you guys kind of pulled away. Yeah, so... Now, Alaina, you have emerged, I think, as one of the best players in all the Wayne Finger Lakes. Probably last year as a sophomore, people started to say, wow, Alaina Forbes, look at the numbers she's putting up, look at the games she's having, and the teams that all of a sudden Midlakes was starting to beat a lot of good teams thanks to you. Did you feel like something kind of kicked in? It's just the fact that you're getting older, or confidence-wise? Do you feel like the team leader on the court in terms of? I don't want you to say you're the. Well, I think you're probably. Do your teammates look to you as like the team leader on the court?
Yeah, I think they do, but if I didn't have my teammates, I wouldn't be the player that I am.
Sure, absolutely. And now, Cara, you are just a freshman. And your name's been popping up in the box scores, usually along with Alaina. And you played a little bit as an 8th grader. You came up for a regular season game, and then you had a sectional game you might have played with Midlakes varsity for. But were you excited when you found out you were going to be on varsity this year as a freshman? And, how's that experience been so far?
Yeah, it's a pretty big role to play as a freshman playing on varsity. But it's pretty awesome.
A lot of time, too, right? You're getting a lot of time there. And you guys have had a lot of success as well. Alaina, talk about some of the other girls on the team that aren't here. We can only have a couple of you up here today. But talk about some of your teammates.
Macy Kisner, she's really good at rebounding the ball and dribbling up the court, even though she's a forward. And she likes to drive to the basket. Mm-hmm. She creates a lot of fouls, which helps us. And Cindy Pasalacqua, boxes out.
She had a lot of rebounds last night, right?
Yeah,
Sydney?
she did.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps us because we're pretty good on fast breaks. And when we don't give second chance shots, we get up the floor faster.
Well, so what about Claire?
She's a really good spot-up shooter. And if we didn't have her, she was sick for our game yesterday. And we had to step it up without her.
Right. And you're a little sick today, too. Did you catch it from her?
I hope not.
It's not fun being sick on Christmas, but you have a couple days, I guess, to get better, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Cara? Like, as a freshman, tell me how you look up to some of these upperclassmen and how they've been helping you.
Well, some of the upperclassmen like Alaina, who's been playing on varsity for a couple of years, you look up to her and the rest of them by them showing you what you need to do and how you need to play because they know what they're doing.
Well, it's been fun seeing this Midlakes team kind of develop into what it is now. And I guess before we go further and get into the weekly results, how much do you follow like other programs? Like, for instance, South Seneca the past couple of years has gone to the state Final Four. Do you follow them as they moved on through playoffs and is a fellow Wayne Finger Lakes team?
Yeah.
And do you set your goals, or you think, geez, maybe if we work hard, we can get there too? Now that in your final 2 seasons here, and of course you have 4 seasons, so that's kind of fun to kind of be at the beginning. But is that something you guys talk about at all?
Yeah, we do talk about it.
Nice. Well, we had a full week of basketball on the boys and girls side with some big games on both the boys and girls side. So I'm going to quickly run through the week that was here in Wayne Finger Lakes basketball, starting with the boys. And on Monday night, there was a kind of a light slate with just one league game in the Finger Lakes West, and that was, or actually, 2 league games. There's one Wayne County. There's the boys. Yeah, there's 3 league games, sorry. So the biggest one was Clyde Savannah and East Rochester, okay? Clyde Savannah appears to be the class of Wayne County, along with Lions, and we were wondering, is East Rochester going to be able to compete? I mean, they lost Shamar Caraway, who's now with the team as a team manager, I believe, an eligibility thing due to age, as he moved into their district last year. But Clyde held them off 66-63 and really snapped victory from the jaws of defeat. Drew Carnavale had some foul trouble early, ended up hitting a big 3-pointer late in that game, and then Matt Cicero followed with a layup and a foul, went to the free throw line and missed the free throw. And then as Clyde was trying to close it out, they were missing some free throws. Carnavale, I think, might have gone 1 for 4 down the stretch, and at one point Clyde got an offensive rebound, and our ER got the rebound and tried to outlet it, and Clyde stole it back. So really fortunate on the road that Clyde was able to survive East Rochester 66-63, and which was a game that everybody was paying attention to on Monday night. Also in Wayne County, Gananda beat North Rose 77-44. And then in a little bit of a rivalry game, the south end of Seneca County, South Seneca boys lost to Romulus 53-51 at Romulus. So a nice win there for the Romulus boys. I know that's one that they all mark on their calendar, and they'll be playing again at the Jack Guyton Arena later this season. So then on Tuesday night, it was Lions' turn to play East Rochester. That Clyde-East Rochester game was rescheduled after being canceled due to the snowstorm last week. So East Rochester ends up playing on back-to-back nights, as Clyde did. But for East Rochester, they had to play Clyde and Lions on back-to-back nights. And East Rochester, 47 second-half points en route to beating the Lions, 76-64. Matt Cicero with 22 points. John Lexer with 17. Ben the Young Pope with 12. Alex Rands had 12. And for Lions, Justice Smith with 22. Correll Kelly with 11. Justin Smith with 9. And David Weaver with 9. So that was, East Rochester. We've been touting Lions and Clyde. East Rochester now in second place in Wayne County, and it looks like to be maybe a four-man race. Lions beat Gananda, Clyde beat Gananda first time around. Gananda will get them back, but certainly that league will be decided among those four teams. And East Rochester making a strong claim as a top contender in Wayne County. Now moving over to the East, the Midlakes boys beat Geneva 59-52 in Midlakes. Bryce Burry had 22 points and 5 assists. Dan Van Ostrand had 20 points. And for Geneva, Christian Tapscott came off the bench and scored 10. Akeem Hudson had 10. Now, do you girls, you usually play in the same time as the boys, the opposite. If they're home, you're away against the same school. Have you got to see the boys team at all this year at Midlakes?
Yeah.
And so what's your thoughts on their team?
If they work together as a team, all put in effort, then I think they'd be good and keep winning.
Yeah. Who's a better shooter, Alaina, you or Bryce Burry?
Probably Bryce Burry.
Oh, well, you're pretty humble. I'd like to see that shooting contest.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good shooting contest.
Yeah. So, more East action on Tuesday night. Newark beat Pelmac 69-46. And then heading out to the west, it was Red Jacket over Dundee 65-45. Spencer Jacobs, 21 points, career high there for him. The Red Jacket boys had a nice week. And then Naples lost to Honeoye 74-66. And then back to Wayne County, Derek Chance lit it up for 37 points as Clyde rolled over Williamson in Williamson 79-38. And Sodus beat North Rose Wolcott 58-36. Donnie Knapp, 26 points, 7 3-pointers there. So now we'll just bump it ahead here to Wednesday. This is a one-man show here, girls. So I got to do it all here. Let's see. Wednesday night. Now this was kind of interesting because Penn Yan went to play Corning, a double-A Corning team in the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, and they led for most of the game. Corning pulled away late, 52-44. That was Penn Yan's first loss of the season. And then we were at Finger Lakes 1 was at Waterloo for a little crosstown rivalry game between Minders and Waterloo that was never close from the start. Minders won 74-39. Hunter Haas with 15 points in that one. And then Marcus Whitman in a little West Wayne County crossover beat Red Creek 63-35. Thursday night, I decided I was going to drive up to Clyde and watch Clyde and C.G. Finney along. Miners head coach Kevin Korzaneski and Pat Prain was there scouting because they got both of those teams, Clyde and C.G. Finney, on their schedule coming up. Clyde on Thursday night is the nightcap of a quadruple header that you can watch live on FingerLakes1.com. And boy, this was a great game. It was 51-44 at halftime. It was up and down. Was really impressed with the intensity that both teams played with and the speed of the game. It was just a really fun high school basketball game to watch. C.G. Finney pulled away 93-87. Actually, they opened up a pretty good lead. I think they were led by as many as 14 or 15 at one point. Clyde came storming back. And again, this is something with Clyde, too, in Class D, looking for a sectional championship. They got to shoot better free throws at the end of the game. They had cut it to 6 and missed 2 free throws back-to-back with the ball, down 6, missed 2 free throws. Then they got the offensive rebound and couldn't put that back, and that was kind of their last chance with about a minute 30 left, down 6, missing those free throws. Really impressed with C.G. Finney's Keegan O'Core, 31-point effort there. Max Harris had 21, and Xavier Smith had 19. And for Clyde, this is a really amazing stat. This is my stat of the week here on the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Clyde scored 87 points, okay? Derek Chance had 30, Marcus Chance had 28, Drew Carnevale had 23, and Camden Chance, the freshman of the Chance brother trio, had 6. So that's all the scoring for Clyde from those 3 guys. Chance, and Carnevale. Nobody else scored 87 points just from those 4 guys, and really from 3 of them. Cam Chance had 6. The other 3 combined for 81. And, it was a really fun game to watch and a great atmosphere in Clyde on Thursday night. Also in Wayne County, Gananda beat Red Creek 78-47. Jaden Castrocini with 22 points. Steve Human with 16. Lions really took it to Sodus 68-28. And here's another thing. Sodus had 23 points. I said 28. I think they had 23 points, 68-23. Malik Burton had 17. Donnie Knapp had 3. And Lonnie Logans had 3. Lonnie, the brother of Shamar Logans, I believe, played for Newark a couple years ago. But 3 guys combined for all the scoring for Sodus, which is a little bit impressive because with Lions, I think that the offense is there. I just sometimes question their defensive intensity, especially when compared to the type of defense that I saw Clyde and C.G. Finney play. Even though they put up all those points, it was pretty intense defensive effort from both teams, even though giving up all those points. Justice Smith had 20 points in that one. Justin Smith, his freshman brother, had 16. David Weaver had 10. And then East Rochester beat Marion. Williamson edged North Rose Wolcott by 7. And the Red Jacket boys, I mentioned they had a good week in the West. They beat Bloomfield 71-61 by 10 in the West. And I don't want to call it a surprise because in Finger Lakes West, anything goes. You never know what's going to happen. You better come ready to play every night. So, moving ahead now to last night, we were in... well, let's start with the Minders game, okay? Minders-Pelmac. Minders win 74-50. Pelmac actually led 9-8 early. Minders took over. Hunter Haas with 14 points. Quentin Battle with 12. Colin Carver with 10. Devin Anderson with 9. Logan Amelie led the way with 22 for Pelmac. Sawyer Bloom had 12. And this is the thing that you'll notice with Minders all year long. Nobody's going to score 24 points for Minders. They're going to probably have 8 or 9 kids score, and they're all going to have another 5 or 6 of them are going to have somewhere between 6 and 14 points. It's just they're a really balanced team, and that's one reason they've been so successful there. I think that moved them to 8-0. Now, Finger Lakes 1 was in Waterloo last night for Penn Yan at Geneva. Why were we in Waterloo for a Geneva home game? Because Geneva's remodeling their gym. I talked to Brian Miller last night. They have the whole thing enclosed and the roof is on so they can get some of the interior work done during the winter months when it's cold. And they're expecting maybe to get us in there to take a look at that in May or June. And then next year, Geneva will have a fantastic new facility for their basketball games. But this year, unfortunately, especially for their seniors, they're playing their home games at Waterloo and at Romulus. So last night it was Penn Yan at Geneva in Waterloo, and it ended up being a thriller. You can watch that game on Finger Lakes 1. I was there calling that game with Nick Ciotti. And Desmond Batten led the way for Penn Yan with 14. Dylan Stape with 11. Akeem Hudson and Reek Patchett combined for 13. Geneva had the ball with a chance to win, down 1 with about 12-13 seconds left. They looked a little discombobulated on the play that Brian Miller drew up, and they ended up not getting a great shot, although I shouldn't say that. Tyrese Evans did have a little runner just inside the top of the key that went in and out. If that went in, it would have been a fantastic finish for sure. But Penn Yan held on, and the question we had going into that game was, okay, we know that Wayne and we know that Minders boys are probably the class of that league. Newark could play a factor, but Minders already has defeated Newark in Newark, something they hadn't done in 6 years. So it looks like it's going to be Minders and Wayne. And Penn Yan, though, their only loss coming to Corning on Wednesday night at 7-1. 6-1 or 7-1 at this point has looked really impressive, and so this was our chance to see if we thought Penn Yan might be able to compete for the East with those guys, and not only just the East, but they're in Class B along with Minders and Newark and Midlakes and Waterloo and Pelmac, and a lot of the Finger Lakes East is in Class B for sectionals. And they got the win, and the jury's still out. I just can't tell. And even talking to Desmond Batten after the game, he said, that they just don't score. That their defense is good. They've been having trouble scoring, and that was the case last night. But credit to Geneva, and I feel kind of bad for Geneva because they've lost a lot of close games this year. This was one of them. They won a few close games too. They won the Hall of Fame Classic to start the season, beating Weedsport in overtime, and Lions on Adrian Porter drive with 6 seconds left. So those were 2 close games that they pulled out, but this was one that they lost. And the thing about Geneva, Reed Patchett and Akeem Hudson, nobody else in all the Wayne Finger Lakes has a 1-2 punch like that. Like Wayne has Carmichael inside, but he doesn't really have a backcourt mate. Minders has Jake Robinson, who's kind of emerged this year, and his front court mate would be like Hunter Haas, I guess, or Miller coming off the bench. Haas a little undersized compared to Patchett and Akeem Hudson. So it's fun to watch those guys play. Akeem Hudson weighing in at 280 pounds might be have the softest touch of any shooter I've seen. And so they get after it on the boards. They work good together in terms of when one of them takes a shot, the defense is usually closing on him, leaving the other one to grab a rebound and put it back. So, and they're both juniors. So next year when Geneva opens up that new gym, they could have a very good team, and they should have a very good team and win a lot of games there. Get that facility off on the right foot. So moving over to the West on Friday night, Marcus Whitman defeats Honeoye 69-54. And then in overtime, Naples edges South Seneca. Like I said, you never know what's going to happen in the Finger Lakes West. That went to overtime, 70-63. The Big Green wins for Mick Salter. And then Wayne hosted and defeated Waterloo 56-30. So we'll give you the new updated boys power rankings here at the end of the show. But now we should probably kick it over to the girls' side of things. And who did you guys play this week? You guys have 1 or 2 games this week?
Three.
3 games in the week before Christmas. And so who did you play, remember?
Geneva, Marcus Whitman, and Newark.
3 good teams. Geneva usually very good, not doing so well this year. Newark, do you remember the Lauer sisters at Newark? You remember those girls by any chance? You might be a little too young. That was the last time Newark was really good, like a state caliber girls basketball team. And then Marcus Whitman is a fun team to watch. Do you ever, in some of the AAU stuff that you guys play with any of these other girls from different teams? Yeah. So like who are some of the girls that you know and play with from the other Wayne Finger Lakes teams?
I play against a bunch of people from Paul Mac and Wayne, like Alana Cornacker. And
like Alana Cornacker, you play against her? Or with her or against her?
Against her.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Cara?
I play with a whole bunch of the girls from Geneva.
Okay, like who?
Lauren Devaney,
Yeah.
Treasure,
Mhm.
Mackenzie. Play with all of them, and then I've played with Alana Cornacker, and I've played with a bunch of girls from Minders, like Heidi Miller and
Nice.
Hannah.
So, and again, a lot of those girls you mentioned are older than you. What's it like playing with them? Do they try to bring you along and show you the ropes, I guess, a little bit?
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like they're older than me. They
Mhm.
treat me like I'm the same age as them.
That's nice, yeah, no doubt. It's but it's part of it's also part of building a program, right? You're coming up as a freshman, and you're looking up to some of the girls that have been on varsity for a few years, like Alaina and Claire, and so then, you know, you're going to be an upperclassman coming up here soon, and there'll be the new breed below you now. So as a freshman, a lot of your friends, like your classmates, are still on JVs right now. You know, how do you hang out more with the girls on the varsity team, or do you hang out with your friends that are your age?
It depends. Like, I hang out with both of them. I like my friends on the JV team and everything, but I do like all the girls on the varsity team too. We all get along well, so.
Nice. Well, let's take a look here at the week that was for the girls as I cue it up for us. Okay, here we go. Monday night. East Rochester played Rochester Women's Prep and won 77-34. Regina Quinones, I don't know. Email me if I said that wrong. 21 points. Samantha Lewis, 13. Kadaya Hogan, 12 points, 14 rebounds. And then on the girls' side of things, the Clyde girls beat C.G. Finney, 51-37. Essence Mitchell with 17. Taylor Sharp with 14. Caitlin Bloomer with 11. Clyde girls are markedly better this year. Like from last year to this year, they may have made the biggest jump of any team, any girls team in the Wayne Finger Lakes. And in Class D, you have to wonder if maybe they got a shot at sectionals, which if you asked me that last year, I would have thought no. But they've really put in a lot of work over the summer, and this group has been together now for a couple of years, and they're winning some ball games, so good for them. Tuesday night, Red Jacket Dundee wasn't close, 72-26. Sarah Van Aken with 20, Sydney Close with 13, Alexis Gardner with 12, and Brooklyn Haney with 10. Mackenzie Strait scored 16 of Dundee's 26. And then Minders Waterloo, I was at this game too in Seneca Falls. Minders jumped out to a 15-5 lead, and that was kind of how it stayed throughout. Waterloo actually beat them the rest of the way. The final score, Minders 49, Waterloo 40. Heidi Miller with 16 points. Logan Castiglione for Waterloo with 15. Carrie Jensen hit 3 3-pointers with 14. Jillian Panic, the sophomore, with 9. Oh, and I almost forgot, Hannah Brown-Trice, 20. She kind of broke out of a little early season scoring slump. She's always doing all the other stuff, but she wasn't really putting up points and somebody needs to put up points for this Minders team. She put in 20 against Waterloo. And the thing about this win for Minders is that they didn't make a single three-pointer. And traditionally, with the past few years with Minders, they've relied on the three-point shot. And if they didn't make any three-pointers, they probably lost. But they were able to beat Waterloo without making a single three-pointer. Now, Tuesday night, Midlakes beat Geneva 51-35. And Alaina Forbes here with us in the studio had 16. Macy Kisner had 14. And let me ask you guys about this particular game. You mentioned, Cara, that you play with a lot of these girls from Geneva. So what's it like when you line up, in a varsity basketball game across the side from them?
It's pretty fun to play against teammates that you play with.
And in Geneva also traditionally one of the best teams in the Finger Lakes East for the girls. But you guys handled them pretty easily, Alaina. Was that a game you were concerned about going into?
Yeah, they're pretty aggressive, and we just got the ball up and down the court faster than them.
Yeah, so that's how you like to play, fast? Does Coach Rich kind of preach that? Do you guys press a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many girls play normally in a game for you guys? How many off the bench?
Everyone comes in, basically.
Everyone on the roster gets in?
All but our foreign exchange student normally get in.
Okay, so what is that, 9 or 10 girls?
9, yeah.
Yeah. And so that allows you to press and not get tired if you got girls coming in to give you a quick rest and you come back in. Do you generally press the whole game?
Yeah, basically.
And what other kinds of defenses are you playing if you get down to the half court? Is it man-to-man? Or
Man-to-man.
Never any zone?
We do 11. That's still man-to-man, though.
Also in the East, on Tuesday night, Penn beat Wayne 66-60. Wayne's still looking for their first win. Adriana you guys know how to say this name? Brent? You know that? You don't know Adriana? Well, she had 19 points. Penn girls had a nice week. Big rivalry game, South Seneca Romulus girls. This one was in South Seneca, and the Lady Falcons with the win 49-34. Emma Fletcher had 17 points. Skylar Shawless 10 points, 6 assists, 8 rebounds. Jade Parsons 18 rebounds. I'm really impressed with the season Jade Parsons is having so far as the South Seneca team. I predict will continue to improve and be a serious contender in Class C2 going forward. Honeoye, Naples 53, Honeoye 35. Autumn Coons 21 points. Faith Levine 10 points, 13 rebounds. Haley Langan 8 points and 14 rebounds. And for Honeoye, Lauren Jarasinki had 10 points. And also on Tuesday night, Pelmac beats Newark 63-48. Now Pelmac's team on the girls' side in the Finger Lakes East that looks pretty strong. Do you have any familiarity with any of those girls on the Pelmac team?
Yeah, I played with a lot of them from AAU.
And you haven't played them yet this year, have you?
No, not yet.
So that's that one you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you guys are in Class B with all these teams. Pelmac, Minders, not Geneva or Wayne, but Pelmac, Minders, Newark, Waterloo, Penn Yan for sectionals. So it's kind of weird that Class B is made up of so many teams from your league. It's almost like a continuation of the Finger Lakes East. So, is it sectional championship something you guys talk about?
Yeah.
Is that like your ultimate goal?
Mm-hmm.
Ever talk about league championship?
Yeah, we did talk about
So win the league first, then win sectionals, and then whatever happens after that's kind of icing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You feel confident you got a great shot at sectionals this year?
Yeah.
Good. Where am I? We still on third Tuesday night? I know we're moving ahead here to Wednesday night. Where Gananda beat North Rose Wolcott 55-34. This Clyde Savannah Sodas game never reported on. I'm not sure if it got postponed due to weather or what, so I don't have that score for you, sorry. Marion over East Rochester 48-31. And you guys beat Marcus Whitman 59-32. Red Creek girls are strong. They beat Williamson 84-60. And how about Red Creek? Do you have any familiarity with those girls? And there's a girl on Red Creek named Isabella Wilbur who played varsity as a 7th grader. So now I think she's in 9th grade. She's been putting up some big points. And they have Alex Mosqueda and Katie Smith and Sienna Fernandez. They're a very good team. Coach Mike Krause has got to be really excited about their chances at a sectional title. And I don't see anybody beating them in Wayne County. Coming up on Thursday, they play the Minders girls at NYCC in a game that you can watch on FingerLakes1.com. And to me, that's one of the most anticipated girls basketball games of the year coming up. Now, you guys beat Whitman. Alaina, you had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Cara, you had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. So you guys are doing it all. You're scoring, you're getting rebounds, and you're setting up your teammates. Do you look at your stats after the game and say, "Oh, geez, I had 5 assists"?
Yeah. People come up to me
and they tell you?
Yeah.
You know, or they'll ask you to come on a podcast and tell you? Claire DeBoover with 9 that game. For Whitman, Jordan Chappelle, 9.6 rebounds. Maddie Ryan, 9.7 rebounds. Now, Whitman's out of Finger Lakes West. You guys play them last year, too? Or is this the first time we ever looked at them?
First time in a couple of years.
Yeah, they're kind of a fun team to play against, I think. They move it up and down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I think in the Finger Lakes East, sometimes the defense is so strong that the games are kind of lower scoring, like that Minders game you guys played. But when you step it out to the West, it kind of opens up, and it's kind of fun basketball to watch or I'm sure, to play in the game. So I mentioned Red Creek beating Williamson. I mentioned some of those girls. Well, Isabella Wilbur, the freshman, 32 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. So that's not bad.
It's not.
Pretty good. Alex Mosqueda, 25 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 steals. Sienna Fernandez with 9. And moving ahead now to Thursday, Aquinas, they've been kind of making the run, the rounds around the Finger Lakes leagues. They beat Penn Yan 63-41. Naples beat Campbell Savona 65-43. Autumn Coons had 20. Faith Levine had 17. Haley Langan, 12 points, 15 rebounds. Sarah Levine, 12. And then Wayne was scheduled to play Waterloo. That game was postponed. So finally, just one more night here to cover, and that would be Friday night. Oops, I moved the wrong way. There it is. Friday night. Whitman bounces back from that loss to Midlakes with a win at Honeoye 48-25. Mandy Ryan with 15 points, 12 rebounds. Alaya, I think it's Alaya. Alaya Beverly, 13 points, 11 rebounds. And then this was, to me, the game of the year in the Finger Lakes West, and maybe throughout all the Wayne Finger Lakes. Red Jacket has been looking really impressive, as we know Bloomfield was too. Braylon Scott, you guys know who Braylon Scott is?
Yeah.
You heard that name? She was here in the studio with us last week for last week's episode. She had 30 points and 15 rebounds in this one as Bloomfield edges Red Jacket 54-52. Both teams were unbeaten. This game was going to have major implications as to who was going to win the league in the West. And Bloomfield goes on the road, beats Red Jacket 54-52. Jessie Sheehan also had 10 points for the Lady Bombers. And then you guys had to play Midlakes last night. And you won 53-41. You hosted Newark. Alaina Forbes, you had 18 points, 5 assists. Cara had 10 points, 5 assists. Sydney Pascalacqua had 9 points, 9 rebounds. And what kind of style is Newark playing this year?
They play a 2-3 zone.
They're playing 2-3 zone, so that's kind of different than what they've done in the past. They're usually like a man-to-man pressure type of team. And so you guys won by 12. Win's a win. I was a little surprised at how close the game was. Was it close going down the stretch?
Yeah, at halftime it was 29-20 them, and we had to come out.
29-20, they were winning at halftime?
Yeah.
Wow. And so what was halftime like? Like at half, what did coach say?
We weren't really playing really good as like a team, and we were forcing a lot of things, so we had to push, and we were settling when we had to push it up down the court.
Gotcha.
We were letting them dictate what we had to do to play.
Right.
Letting them show us what we need to do instead of us doing what we're good at doing.
And you're the number one team in the power rankings. You should do what you want to do, and everybody else should have to deal with it, right? So that's kind of what happened in the second half. So even though it was just a 12-point win, it was really, you outscored them by 21 points in the second half. So it was. Now, does that scare you at all that you might start off like that in a sectional game and not be able to recover, and then your season's over? Like, what are you going to do different to make sure that when you come out of the gate in some of these bigger games that you don't have a letdown to start like that?
We just have to play every game strong, because now that we're the top, everybody wants to beat us.
Yeah.
So we make sure we have to have our A game on for every game.
Yeah, because you can bet every team that you play, especially your league mates, are gonna. You have like a bullseye on your back, right? They're all shooting for you. So, where are we here on Friday? Oh, Penn Yan beats Geneva 65-48. Sydney Bloom with 27 points. Emma Harling with 12. Hannah Keach with 11.7 assists, 6 rebounds. Sydney Bloom, you know Sydney at all? For Penn Yan? Yeah, she's a pretty good player, right? 27 points.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to play Penn Yan, who do you think's guarding Sydney Bloom?
Either Sydney or Macy. Maybe Cara too.
And who guards the best player? If the best player on the other team's a guard, who's drawing that assignment for you guys?
Cara.
So as a freshman, they're saying go out there and guard the best player on the other team, and you like that they're having you do that?
It's a good challenge to try and overcome.
Yeah.
Let her score.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what would you say you're a better offensive player or defensive, Alaina, or both?
This year I've been doing pretty good on defense than I did last year.
Is it something you work on in the off season? Like, how do you work on your defense? What can you do to work on your defense?
I don't really know. Just do a lot of drills in practice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Minders, Pelmac last night. That was one that I thought could have been a stumbling block for the Minders girls and an opportunity for Pelmac. Minders wins in Seneca Falls 62-57. Hannah Lang, 20 points, 4 3-pointers. And Minders has been looking for some offense. As I mentioned in their other win against Waterloo, no 3-pointers. Hannah Lang coming off the bench, knocking down 4 3-pointers, career high 20 points. for Hannah Lang. And hey, here's a little fun fact for you. Hannah Lang dates Brian Sharp of Newark, last year's shooting guard for Newark. So there's a little fun fact for you. A little Wayne Finger Lakes fun fact, okay? Maybe he's been working with Hannah on her shot, because Brian Sharp was a great shooter. They used to call him a sharp shooter. So maybe some of that's rubbing off on Hannah Lang with 20 points. Also, another fun fact, Hannah Lang, daughter of Clyde Savannah Athletic Director Larry Lang. So we got all sorts of fun facts for you here 2 days before Christmas in the studio. East Rochester beats Williamson 51-47. Marion beats Sodus 69-40. And then Lions was 10th in our girls' power rankings last week. They had a big matchup in Wayne County against Gananda. Because, again, Red Creek, I think, is the class of Wayne County this year. Gananda is always a perennial force in Wayne County. Lions has been improving, and I was wondering if maybe they might be able to compete for that Wayne County crown on the girls' side. But Gananda goes into Lions and wins 58-38. Emma Drake with 21, Peyton Daffler with 12, Becca Reeves with 11. And for Lions, Allison Cook had 7, Adriana Kemp had 6, Mara Briggs had 6, and Sierra Moody had 6. Also, one game last night that we didn't have a report on, Red Creek at North Rose Wolcott. I'm thinking too, maybe been postponed because of weather, but we don't have that result for you. I would bet that Red Creek won that game if it was played, but don't have the results for you there. So there you go. Busy week, Christmas in 2 days, and then next week comes a lot of holiday tournaments and stuff like that. Do you guys know who you have next week? Do you have any games after Christmas, the week during Christmas break?
Corcoran and Gananda.
Is that part of a tournament, like a little holiday showcase, or are they just individual games?
Just individual games. Okay.
Now that Gananda game, you played Gananda yet this year?
Yeah, it was
you play them usually home and home every time, right? Like you play them there, and then they come and play you at your gym.
Last year we only played them once. This year we played them twice.
Okay, so you played at Gananda the first time?
No, at home.
You were at home, so now you're traveling to Gananda. That's a tough place to play. They have a really good student section, and it's fun for sure playing in Gananda. So, how much do you know about Gananda? Do you know who Emma Drake is and Peyton Dabbler?
Yeah.
And now the way social media is nowadays, do you ever reach out to any of these girls on other teams and say, "Hey, good game" on Instagram or Snapchat or anything like that? Do you ever communicate on social media with other girls?
Yeah, I'm friends with a lot of people from different schools and teams.
Do they ever reach out to you guys and say, "Hey, I saw you had a good game last night"?
Some people. Or,
"Hey, I saw you on the Upstate Hoops Podcast"? Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. And I also think, and maybe you guys can tell me if you agree, that the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues are kind of almost like a little family. So when your season ends, or you might root for other teams that are going on in the playoffs that are local. Or maybe you don't. Maybe some of it's a rivalry thing. But how much do you follow the other teams, and do you root for them when they play out of the leagues, like against another team from Section 5, or like you're playing for Corcoran, or playing against Corcoran? Do you think that the girls from Palmac or Gananda or Minders are going to be rooting for you to beat Corcoran? You know what I mean? Is there any of that?
I don't know.
Or you're just worried about beating Corcoran yourself? You don't care? Well, like I mentioned, South Seneca last year and the Minders girls last year went to the Far West Regional. Did you follow those games? Were you rooting for them to win, or were you a little jealous and saying, I hope they lose because we're not there? Or did you just not care? Where you started thinking about your spring sports? Any of that?
I don't know. I was rooting for Minders to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're girls and they're in your league, and I think it's a little bit of a source of pride when someone from your league can go on and win a sectional title or then beyond, or even for the region as a whole. Like when South Seneca won the state championship 2 years ago, that's pretty cool. I think that a school from where we live, can go and win a state championship. So I think that for the most part, a lot of the other coaches, especially, and fans and parents will root for their rivals during the season. But once it gets beyond that, I think you're kind of rooting for them to do well. So coming up this week on FingerLakes1.com, find it here. There it is. We've got a quadruple header of action from New York Chiropractic College on Thursday. It starts out at noon as Waterloo takes on South Seneca. Boys, followed by Midlakes versus Lions. Bryce Burry and company take on Justice Smith in a game that we're excited about. And then that's followed by a girls' game between Minders and Red Creek, which I'm touting as one of the most anticipated girls' games of the season so far. A little Finger Lakes East Wayne County crossover. And then Minders, Clyde, and the nightcap. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I know a lot of people are super excited about seeing Minders square off against Clyde. That should be up and down, should be a packed house. And it's developed into a little mini rivalry over the past few years as they've played almost every year now for the past 3 or 4 years. They don't always play, but they have been as of late, and they'll renew that rivalry as the nightcap at New York Chiropractic College on Thursday. So looking forward to that. So girls, we talked about your team goals. What, being a league championship and a sectional championship, I got a little bit of a lead for that league championship already, beating Minders and being undefeated. And actually, if I can take a look at the standings here, you guys are 4-0, and then right behind you, Palmac 3-1, Minders 3-1, and Penn Yan 3-1. I think you beat Palmac and Minders. Now you'll have to play Penn Yan as well. And then Geneva at 2-2, you beat them. So really, you control your own destiny as far as the league goes. But going to sectionals, it's a little bit tougher. What do you guys need to improve on from now until the time the postseason comes around to give you a good shot at winning a sectional championship?
We need to come out stronger in the first half.
Yeah, don't come out flat.
Yeah.
Like you think it's Newark. And what about you, Cara?
Yeah, I think we do need to come out stronger in the first half. We always come out firing in the second half, not the first half.
Yeah, the games are so short. They're 8-minute quarters, so you're talking 32 minutes. So if you do come out flat and dig yourself a hole, man, it could be over like that. I've seen it happen plenty of times before. So what about individually? Now, Alaina, your game is kind of rounded into form now you're an upperclassman. Is there anything in particular that you work on specifically, whether it's like 3-point shooting or ball handling or defense? Is there anything that you're working on to get better at?
I work a lot on shooting and driving into the basket.
Penetrating and finishing at the basket? Okay. How about you, Cara? As just a freshman, you got tons of time to improve on things. What are you working on?
My whole game, shooting, driving, defense.
And so what's a practice with your coach Nate Rich look like? How does he run practice? Run through like what your practice looks like. You show up, you get there and you hit the court, and then what happens?
We run through some layup drills first to get our bodies warmed up.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go through some shooting drills. We always go over our defenses, so what we can make them better, what we can do better to play defense. We always go over some offense if some of us don't understand our plays and everything.
Is he ever installing new plays, like new out-of-bounds plays, or maybe you're facing a team that has a 1-3-1 zone or something different? Does he ever install anything new, or you guys just focus on what you do and just try to hone in on that?
No, we get new plays all the time. Depending on the teams we play, if they play a different defense than we've seen all year, then we'll get a new play.
Mm-hmm. Does he ever try to run you? Like, does he ever get upset and say, everybody on the line?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what do you do, run some Syracuses? You know what they are?
No.
Maybe it's different terms where you run and you touch with the hand the foul line, and then back to the baseline, touch it with the hand, then to half court. Yeah. Like, what do you call them?
Suicides.
Suicides, yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know why around here we call them Syracuses, but okay. you have an opportunity to stay after practice and work on things, or do you guys like to do that, or do you like to show up early for practices, or there was a kid for Red Creek named Jake Slow that used to go to school at 6 a.m. and he'd shoot for an hour and a half in the gym and then go to school. He did that every day. How do you guys find time to just work on your own games, or to find that extra time? Is it in the driveway at home, or how do you guys do that?
Well, in the driveway at home, it's a little cold outside to do that now.
Yeah.
But after practice, I always shoot free throws to get better on that, because you can always work on your free throws. And I always shoot a little bit after practice for maybe 15, 20 minutes.
So, Alaina, how about you? Now, like I said, you're become one of the best players in the league, in the Wayne Finger Lakes, all the leagues. I think that if the season ended now, you'd be an all first team player and of all three leagues, and a potential player of the year candidate type of girl. So when did you start to realize that, hey, I'm pretty good at basketball? Was it when you were in youth leagues, or is it just recently?
Probably like when I got pulled up to JV. Like, it opened my eyes, and I was like, well, I gotta step up and become better. What
grade were you when you got pulled up to JVs?
8th.
In 8th grade, they brought you up to JVs, and then you had success with that team as being one of the leading scorers on that team, and it was like, okay, basketball is kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Cara? When did you realize? I mean, you're playing varsity as a freshman. Not many people get to do that. When did you start to realize that, hey, I'm pretty good at basketball? Is basketball your favorite sport?
Yeah.
And so when did that kind of kick in for you?
Probably when I was in 8th grade and got pulled up to JV.
Mm-hmm. And what was things like? Tell me about the youth program, I guess, in Phelps and Clifton Springs. When did you guys first start playing organized basketball?
Probably like when I could, like 1st graders.
As soon as you could, like little clinics and stuff like that at the Phelps Community Center?
There's like Y basketball too.
All right. And then when did you start playing AAU and travel?
I think I started that in 8th grade.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I started in 7th or 8th grade.
Is there anybody, let's do this. Who has helped you guys individually from a young age? Who do you look up to? What, other than your coach, your varsity coach, Nate Rich, who's been an influence on your basketball development?
My grandpa and Todd Jones has been.
Todd Jones?
Yeah.
Who's he?
Cindy Jones' dad.
Oh, from last year's Midlakes team. Now, how much of an influence has Sydney been on you? I mean, she was. You're. A lot of people might say that you're the next Sydney Jones. Like the past few years, Sydney Jones was like, wow, what a great player. Now I think people are saying that about you. How much did she help you become the player that you are now?
Watching her just influenced me a lot, like picking up things that she's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how about you? Who's influenced you basketball-wise?
Probably Todd Jones and all my AAU coaches that have pushed me to get better.
Yep, so Todd is like that guy in your community that just has been around for a while helping with the youth basketball, and really he's got to take a lot of pride in seeing the success that you guys have been having, and the program's been having, because it seems like he's a big part of it, from a young age, helping getting girls involved in basketball and liking basketball. And you mentioned your grandfather?
Yeah, and my uncle, Scott Savage. Scott is my AAU coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's good to have family that have so much. They come to all your games, I assume, then? And
well, my grandpa comes to the ones that he can, because he helps coach on the Palmac team.
Oh, wow. What's that like,
one.
huh?
It's fine.
What's like that when you play Palmac? You're like, Grandpa, what are you doing over there? I'm on this team, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about any other sports? What other sports you guys play?
Soccer and lacrosse.
Okay, spring info. You guys are 3 sports now. That's pretty cool, because you guys both obviously excel at basketball. A lot of times, parents or coaches will encourage you, you need to focus on basketball, because you might be able to play basketball in college and forget about soccer or lacrosse. But I've always said, and I have a 12-year-old daughter who I encourage to play all the sports. it shouldn't be a job at this point. You should still be having fun. And I think, would you miss, like, if you decided, geez, I got to focus on basketball, I'm not going to play soccer, would you miss soccer?
A lot. Yeah.
So you guys, basketball might be your favorite sport, but you still love soccer and lacrosse and the camaraderie and playing with your friends and everything that goes along with it. Okay, we're running a little short on time here, but I do have a couple more questions. What do you guys do on like a Friday night when you don't have a basketball game? Like, what's that look like for you? Where do you guys hang out? What do you do?
Hang out with a lot of my friends usually.
But what do you do? Go to a movie?
Just go to their house or go out to eat or something.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Cara?
Yeah, I hang out with my friends and we go out to eat.
Where do you guys like to eat?
I like Eddie O'Brien's.
Eddie O'Brien's in Geneva or Canandaigua?
Either one.
Either one?
I like the Corner in Newark.
The Corner? Oh, no kidding. Wow. I've eaten there a few times. I didn't even know that was still there, though. The Corner. How come?
I don't know. We just have gone there. And
that's where you go with your friends or your family?
Both.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you guys are still probably a little too young to have made real plans for after high school, but what ideally, we'll start with you, Alaina, what do you think you would do after high school?
Go to college.
And do you have any interest in any particular places yet? Or?
No, I'm still trying to figure that out.
And what do you think you'd like to study?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, it's no rush. How about you, Cara? I mean, you got 4 years of high school left. You're 3.5. What's your plans, you think, long-term after high school?
Well, I'm going to go to college, and I want to go for veterinary medicine.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. You like animals?
Yeah.
Do you have any pets?
I have cows.
Oh, really? You live on a farm then?
Yeah, my grandparents have a dairy farm.
Nice. So how many cows?
About 110 altogether.
So, and do you help in, tending to the cows, or?
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you do?
There's a lot of different things that you do. You have to milk them, and you have to feed them and take care of them.
Mm-hmm. Clean up after them.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you getting up early in the morning to do that stuff, or?
It's mainly like after school stuff.
Gotcha.
If I don't have practices or games.
Gotcha. Well, we're almost up with this hour here. We might go a couple minutes over, but I think we should probably take a look at the power rankings for the week. We'll start with the boys. Actually, you know what? Let's start with the girls, since I have you guys in studio here. There they are. So you have Midlakes, number 1 again. How does that make you feel to be number 1? Like, this doesn't mean anything. Like, you don't win any trophies or awards for being number 1 in the power rankings, but it does show that a lot of people here at Finger Lakes 1 think that you're the best team in the area. Does that make you proud? Does it make you nervous? Does it make other teams shoot for you? What do you think?
It feels pretty good to be number 1, but it probably makes everybody else to want to try and beat us.
Yeah. Is that something you're proud of, being at the top there, number 1?
Yeah, I think it's a great accomplishment for us.
And, of course, you keep winning, you'll be number 1 all year. So, just keep on winning. And again, that doesn't win you any prizes or anything, but it's pretty cool. And right nipping on your knee and your heels, and maybe Bloomfield should be number 1. I don't know. They had a nice win against Red Jacket. They're number 2. Red Creek 3 and Minders 4. Again, they face off Thursday at the Chiropractic College in Seneca Falls. That's going to be a great one. Red Jacket stayed at 5 despite losing that close one to Bloomfield at home. Penn 6 moving up. South Seneca moved up a slot to 7. Palmac dropped from 6 to 8, I think it was. Gannon to 9. And Marion pops into the equation at 10. If you're watching us on Finger Lakes Channel 12 right now, that's going to cut off in about 5 seconds. But if you're watching us online, we'll go on for an extra minute or 2 here. So, kick it over here to the boys' side of things. And there you have Wayne, number 1 again. So the number 1 in our preseason for boys and girls has not changed. both teams are undefeated, and so they continue to be at the top. As we look at the boys' power rankings for Week 4, I mentioned Wayne being undefeated. They're undefeated in the East. They lost. I can't remember who they played. Brighton or Sutherland. Pittsburgh Sutherland, I think, beat them. A Class AA team. Minders is now 6-0 at number 2. Clyde Savannah lost that game to CG Finney. Did not drop though from 3. Penn Yan at 4. They stay the same. Now here's where we got some movement. East Rochester up to 5 with that big win over Lions and a near victory over Clyde. Newark climbs a couple spots to 6. Midlakes down from 6 to 7, or they might have held steady at 7. Lions, a big drop from 5 to 8 with that loss to ER. Double-digit loss. Gananda at 9, and Marcus Whitman sneaks in at 10, and Geneva falls out. They were 10 last week. So just one team from the West and Marcus Whitman. Finger Lakes East and Wayne County dominating the power rankings for Week 4. So as I mentioned, in the week ahead, it's going to be Finger Lakes 1 at the New York Chiropractic College on Thursday, starting at noon for a quadruple header. Of course, we have a lot of fun with those. We'll pull in a lot of interviews between games and at halftime of games. Talk to a lot of people. Usually for something like that, there's a lot of kids and coaches and from that aren't playing that day that are coming there just to watch, especially for those 2 late games, Minders Red Creek and Minders Clyde Savannah. But I'm also really intrigued by Midlakes Lions, Class B Midlakes against Class C2 Lions. Should be a good one. And honestly, that opening game, Waterloo South Seneca, should be a really close game too. So we got a great slate at the Chiropractic College. Rhett Taconi puts on a great event. Usually it was the Tip-Off Classic the past few years on Thanksgiving weekend. Now it's the Holiday Classic. And we're glad that it is, because instead of looking back at it, we're looking forward to it coming up. So girls, really appreciate you coming down today on Saturday and being part of the show, and enjoy following you guys, and I think you're going to have a great season, and can't wait to see what comes of it. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Merry Christmas too.
You too.
Are you guys excited? Anything special that you're expecting for Christmas?
Not really.
No? Just the joy of the season. What do you guys do on Christmas Eve?
I go to my grandparents' house.
The Palmac grandparents?
No, the one
okay, yeah, they're probably hanging out with the Palmac girls, right? How about you, Cara? What do you
I
do?
go to my aunt's house.
Okay, we're right here in the area, or do you have to travel?
Pretty much right here in the area.
Nice. Well, I hope you and your families have a great Christmas. And again, thanks for coming in here just 2 days before Christmas on a Saturday morning to spend some time with us. I appreciate it. So, Cara Walker, Alaina Forbes from Midlakes. A lot of fun watching that team develop, and they're number 1 in their power rankings. Will they stay number 1 next week? Find out. We'll have one more episode of the podcast before the end of the year. Again, Chiropractic College Thursday on fingerlakes1.com. Check us out live, or if you can get out, it's a cheap ticket. Go watch some basketball live. And from everybody here at fingerlakes1.com and our entire FL1 Sports team, especially our main production crew for those high school basketball games, Jeremy Hunt, Jason Hunt, Ryan Sowards, Harrison DeMaria. I don't want to forget everybody. I always do this. I start naming people and start forgetting them. I'm not going to get into all our commentators and broadcasters like Brendan Harrington and Dave Barnick and Matt Verkey and see, here we go, Nick Ciotti and Kevin Sharp and Tanya Robinson. From everybody here at fingerlakes1.com, to you and your family, have a great Christmas, and we'll see you next week here on the Upstate Hoops Podcast, and we'll see you Thursday night live from NYCC in Seneca Falls.